Hello everybody and welcome back for my continuation of my book readings of Stephen King's Cell. Hope y'all doing fine and welcome back. Here we go. The Devil's Intercoms is what I used to call them, said Charles Arday, who had been chairman of GAITEN Academy's English department for 25 years and acting headmaster of the academy at the time at the Pulse. Now he stomped with surprising rapidity up the hill on his cane, keeping to the sidewalk, avoiding the river of swill that carpeted Academy Drive. Wow, okay. Jordan walked watchfully beside him, the other three behind him. Jordan was worried about the old man losing his balance, and Clay was worried that the man might have a heart attack trying to talk and climb a hill, even a relatively mild one like this, at the same time. I never really meant it. Of course, it was a joke, a jape, a comic exaggeration. But in truth, I never liked the thing, especially in the academic environment. I might have moved to keep them out of the school, but naturally I would have been overruled. Might as well try to legislate against the rising of the tide, huh? He puffed rapidly several times. My brother gave me one for my 65th birthday. I ran the thing flat, puff, pant, and simply never recharged it. They emit radiation. Are you aware of this? Minuscule amounts, it's true, but still, a source of radiation that's close to one's head, one's brain. Sir, you should wait until we get to Tony's, Jordan said. He said our day at the head's cane slid on a rotten piece of fruit and he listed momentarily to port. Probably a good idea, Clay said. Yes, the head agreed, only I never trusted them. This is my point. I was never that way with my computer. Took to that like a duck to water. At the top of the hill, the campus main road split in a Y. The left fork wound its way to buildings that were almost surely dorms. The right one went towards lecture halls, a cluster of administration buildings, and an archway that glimmered white in the dark. The river of garbage and discarded wrappers flowed beneath it. Headmaster Arday led them that way, skirting as much of the litter as he could, Jordan holding his elbow. What? Holding his elbow, yeah. The music now, Betty Midler singing Wind Beneath My Wings, was coming from beyond the arch, and Clay saw dozens of discarded compact discs among the bones and empty potato chip bags. He was starting to get a bad feeling about this. Sir? Headmaster? Maybe we should just... We'll be fine, the head replied. Did you ever play musical chairs as a child? Of course you did. Well, as long as the music doesn't stop, we have nothing to worry about. We'll have a quick peek, and then we'll go over to Cheatham Lodge. That's the headmaster's residence. Not 200 yards from Tony Field, I promise you. Clay looked at Tom, who shrugged. Alice nodded. Jordan happened to be looking back at them, rather anxiously, and he caught his interplay. You ought to see it, he told him. I'm really trying to follow the story, it's like all over the place right now. That's right about that. Until you see it, you don't know. See what, Jordan? Alice asked. But Jordan only looked at her, big young eyes in the dark. Wait, he said. Holy fucking shit, Clay said. In his mind, the word sounded like a full-throated bellow of surprise and horror. But maybe a soupcon of outrage. I have no idea what that is. But what exactly emerged was more of a whimper. Part of it might have been that this close to close the music was almost as loud as a long ago AC/DC concert, although Debbie Boone making her sweet schoolgirl way through You Light Up My Life was quite a stretch from Hell's Bells, even at full volume. But mostly, it was pure shock. He thought that after the Pulse and their subsequent retreat from Boston, he'd be prepared for anything, but he was wrong. He didn't think prep schools like this indulged in anything so plebeian and so smash-mouth as football, but soccer had apparently been a big deal. The sand stacking up on either side of Tony Field looked as if they could seat as many as 1,000, and they were decked with bunting that was only now beginning to look bedraggled by the showery weather of the last few days. There was an elaborate scoreboard at the far end of the field with big letters marching along the top. Clay couldn't read the message in the dark and probably wouldn't have taken it, and even if it had been daylight. There was enough light to see the field itself, and that was all that matters. Every inch of grass was covered with foamed crazies. They were lying on their backs like sardines in a can, leg to leg and hip to hip, shoulder to shoulder. Their faces stared up into the black pre-dawn sky. "Oh my Lord Jesus," Tom said. His voice was muffled because one fist was pressed against his mouth. "Catch the girl," the head rapped. "She's going to faint." "No, I'm alright," Alice said. But when Clay put his arm around her, she slumped against him, breathing fast. Her eyes were open, but they had a fixed, druggy look. "They're under the bleachers too," Jordan said. He spoke with a studied, almost showy calm that Clay did not believe for a minute. It was the voice of a boy, assuring his pals that he's not grossed out by the maggots boiling in a dead cat's eyes, just before he leans over and blows his groceries. "Me and the head think that where they put the hurt ones that aren't going to get better. The head and I, Jordan. Sorry, sir." Debbie Boone achieved poetic catharsis and ceased. There was a pause, and then Lawrence Welk. Champagne music. Marker. Wow, I don't even know where this is going, like right now, seriously. Okay, let me read that again. Debbie Boone achieved poetic catharsis and ceased. There was a pause, and then Lawrence Welk's champagne music markers once more began to play Baby Elephant Walk. Dodge had a good time too, Clay thought. How many of those boom boxes have they got rigged? Together he asked Headmaster Archie. And how did they do it? They're brainless, for Christ's sake. Zombies. A terrible idea occurred to him. Logical and perseverance. I can't even read that word. At the same time, did you do it to keep them quiet, or I don't know? "I didn't do it," Alice said. She spoke quietly from her safe place within the circle of Clay's arm. "No, and both of your premises are wrong," the head told him. "Both? They must be dedicated music lovers," Tom mused, "because they don't like to go inside buildings. But that's where the CDs are, right? Not to mention the boomboxes," Clay said. "There's no time to explain now. Already the sky had begun to lighten, and tell them, Jordan." Jordan replies dutifully, with the air of one who recites a lesson who does not understand. "All good vampires must be in before cockcrow, sir. Cockcrow, sir. That's right, before cockcrow. For now, only look. That's all you need to do. You didn't know they were placed like this, did you?" "Alice knew," Clay said. They looked, and because the night had begun to wane, Clay realized that the eyes of all those faces were open. He was pretty sure they weren't seeing, they were just open. Something bad's going on here, he thought. The flocking was only the beginning of it. Looking at the packed bodies and empty faces, mostly white. This was New England after all. It was awful, but the blank eyes turned up, the night sky filled him with unreasoning horror. Somewhere not too distant, the morning first bird began to sing. It wasn't a crow, but the head still jerked, then tottered. This time, it was Tom who steadied him. "Come on," the head told him. "It's only a short walk to Cheatman Lodge." But we had to start. The damp has made me stiffer than ever. Take my elbow, Jordan. Alice broke free of Clay and went to the old man's other side. He gave her a rather forbidding smile and shake of his head. "Jordan can take care of me. We take care of each other now. Hey, Jordan." "Yes, sir." "Jordan?" Tom asked. They were nearing a large and rather pretentious Tudor-style dwelling that Clay presumed was Cheatman Lodge. "Sir?" "The sign over the scoreboard. I couldn't read it. What did it say?" "Welcome alumni to homecoming weekend." Jordan almost smiled, then remembered there would be no homecoming weekends this year. The bunting of the stands had already begun to tatter, and the brightness left his face. If he hadn't been so tired, he might still have held his composure, but it was very late, almost dawn, as they made their way up the walk to the headmaster's residence. The last student of GAITEN Academy, still wearing his colors of maroon and grey, burst into tears. "That was incredible, sir," Clay said. He had fallen into Jordan's mode of address very naturally. So had Tom and Alice. "Thank you." "Yes," Alice said, "thanks. I've never eaten 2 burgers in my life, at least not big ones like that." It was 3 o'clock the following afternoon. They were on the back porch of Cheatman Lodge. Charles, or they, the head, as Jordan called him, had grilled the hamburgers on a small gas grill. He said the meat was perfectly safe because the generator powered the cafeteria's freezer had run into noon yesterday, and indeed the patties he took from the cooler Tom and Jordan had carried in from the pantry had still been white with frost and as hard as hockey pucks. He said that grilling the meat would probably be safe until 5 o'clock, although prudence dictates an early meal. They smell the cooking?" Clay asked. "Let's just say we have no desire to find out," the head replied. "Have you, Jordan?" "No, sir," Jordan said, and took a bite of his second burger. He was slowing down, but Clay thought he managed to do his duty. He wanted to be inside when they wake up and inside when they come back from town. That's where they go, to town. They're picking it clean, like birds in a field of grain. That's what the head said. "They were flocking back home earlier when we were in Malden," Alice said. "Not that we knew where home for them was." She was a tray with pudding cups on it. She was eyeing the tray with pudding cups on it. "Can I have one of those?" "Yes, indeed." The head pushed the tray towards her. "And another hamburger, if you like." "What we don't eat soon will just spoil," Alice groaned, and shook her head, but she took a pudding cup. So did Tom. They seemed to leave at the same time each morning, but the home flocking behavior had been starting later, Arday said, thoughtfully. "What would that be?" "Slimmer pickings?" Alice asked. "Perhaps." He took a final bite of his own hamburger, then covered the remains neatly with a paper napkin. "There are many flocks, you know, maybe as many as a dozen within a 50-mile radius. We know from people going south that there are flocks in Sandown, Fremont, and Candia. They forage about almost aimlessly in the daytime, perhaps for music as well as food, then go back to where they came from. You know this for sure," Tom said. He finished one pudding cup and reached for another. Arday shook his head. Nothing is for sure, Mr. McCord. And I'm gonna stop it here for this book reading. This was a very hard part for me to get through. To actually, because I already noticed it's another part that there's so much detail and it's going from one place to another, and I'm losing focus on where the story is actually going because of all the details that we're getting here in the story. But yeah, we're still going and see where this goes with the wild adventures of Tom, Clay, and Alice. So thank you very much for listening, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye bye.